Concept of sovereignty by Jean Bodin. Jean Bodin was a well-known political philosopher of 16th century. He belonged to France. He is the first to present the concept of sovereignty. Before him, the concept of sovereignty was almost present with counterpart concepts. For example, the Aristotle presented the concept of something like sovereignty, but not exactly sovereignty. Similarly, Plato presented the concept of a philosopher king that was the personification of sovereignty. But exclusively the concept of sovereignty was presented by Jean Bodin. Today we will try to understand the concept of Jean Bodin. Concept of sovereignty, he said that absolute and perpetual power of commanding in a state is vested in the people in their collective capacity, but generally people delegate it to the prince or other functionaries of state. It means the sovereignty, which is an absolute and power, a perpetual power in a state, and this power is actually vested in the people in their collective capacity. But what people do is that they delegate that power to a prince or a monarch or any other functionaries of state. So the people are the actual owners of sovereignty, and they delegate that power to prince or other functionaries. And after their delegation that power to prince or any functionaries of state, that prince or functionaries of state became sovereign. This was the concept given by Jean Bodin, and according to him, the sovereign power is the highest and forceful will, that nobody could challenge sovereign. And because of sovereign, state got legal competence, that state got the authority to make laws, and because of its sovereignty, state is free from compulsions and limitations. It's free, that nobody from outside could influence in state, or any other state could influence one state. So the sovereignty made a state independent from external influences, and there must be a sovereign in every nation or a community. That is, every nation or community must have some sovereign authority who could rule on that community or manage the discipline of that community. So this was the concept of sovereignty given by Jean Bodin. According to him, it's a perpetual and absolute power, and it's the highest and forceful will, and it provides legal competence to state. And because of sovereign or sovereignty, state is free from compulsions and limitations, and every nation or community must have a sovereign. Now let's see the characteristics of the sovereignty given by Jean Bodin. According to him, sovereignty or sovereign is an absolute power, and he rejects all external authorities, claim of external authorities like claim of pope or anything, right? He rejects all those authorities, and according to him, sovereignty is a perpetual power, and it's undelegated or delegated without limit or condition, that there is no limit on sovereign, and it's inalienable. According to him, if a sovereignty is alienated from sovereign, then sovereign does not exist, right? So sovereignty is inalienable from sovereign, and it's the primary function of sovereign is to create law. So legislation is the basic function of sovereign. To Bodin, law is the command of human superior. So sovereignty is an absolute power. He rejects the claims of external authorities. Sovereignty is perpetual power, undelegated or delegated without limit or condition, and it's inalienable. Its primary function is to create law, and to Bodin, law is the command of human superior. These were the characteristics of sovereign given by Jean Bodin. However, Jean Bodin put some restrictions. He himself put some restrictions on sovereign. For example, sovereign is above law but not above all laws. For example, he is not above the law of nature or law of God, that he could not violate law of nature and he could not violate law of God. and he should not act against constitutional law of land. For example, the law of succession in France, uh, sovereign could not violate that law, and he's bound to make treaties and pacts with other heads of state. This was a limitation on sovereign. He could not violate the treaties and pacts with other heads of state, and he's morally bound to observe the contract with his own subjects. Right? He was bound to protect his subjects and to respect the contract with his subjects. And he cannot usurp up the private property, because according to him private property was owned by the private people, and sovereign had no legal or any constitutional right to usurp up the private property. And he had no right to alienate the public domain, that he was not allowed to put high taxes or anything like that without the consent of common people. And he must exercise the supreme authority according to legal framework, that is, he was not allowed to break laws, he was not allowed to break constitution. So these were the restrictions which Jean Bodin put on sovereign, that he was above law but not above all laws. He should not act against the constitutional law of land. He was bound to make treaties and pacts with other heads of states, and he was morally bound to observe the contract with his own subjects, and he could not usurp the private property. He has no right to alienate the public domain, and he must exercise the supreme authority according to legal framework. Thank you for watching, and please do subscribe to our channel and like this video, and do not forget to share it with other friends. Thank you for joining.